Greetings and welcome to Jefficho Films. You know, the recent snow dump in late February has inspired me to watch this film again. Directed by Dominic Sena, who's directed Californication, Gone in 60 Seconds, Swordfish, Season of the Witch. So, you know, some good ones. Also starring Kate Beckinsale, Alex Alonen from Hawaii Five-0, and Shawn Doyle from Stargate Atlantis. I mean, there are other more important characters, but them my faves. So let's review Whiteout. This movie starts out with some beautiful northern lights and a Russian plane flying through before it crashes because the co-pilot can't surprise three unsuspecting guys and kill them so that he can get the cargo. Then we jump to present day 2009. Kate Beckinsale's character Carrie is in her room, undressing, and we learn two things. One, she's a U.S. Marshal, and the other, she's freaking hot. She takes a steamy shower with literal steam everywhere. I'm pretty sure it's just fan service, but I'm not complaining. Story-wise, Carrie has a friend who's the doctor on the base, and she tells him that she's going to hand in her badge once her rotation's up, which is in a couple of days, because the big winter storm is coming, and everybody's going to leave after that. Now, the definition of a whiteout is 100-mile-an-hour winds and so much snow that you can't see, so they have these little poles and lines where you just attach yourself to it so you don't get lost and freeze to death. But then a pilot discovers a body, and Carrie has to investigate. The body actually came from a worker that's at another base, so she goes there. I do have to ask though, if coffee freezes at minus 65, how safe is her face? When she does get to that base, Carrie finds a guy bleeding out before she's chased by a killer and has to run outside, where she gets frostbite. Now, I know she's afraid of her gun, but she does have one, so maybe use it. She runs into Pryce, who's a UN Special Investigations guy. Her and the pilot and Pryce go out and follow this paper trail that leads them to the plane, where she actually finds it by falling through the ice. Then not too long after, all the ice falls in on them and traps them down there. They're all pretty calm for people that are trapped, but then they blow a hatch and manage to escape and get back to their snowcrawler. I really like the fact that they're gonna drink some vodka and the UN guy's just like, you shouldn't drink that, it's gonna lower your body temperature. And then they just randomly laugh and drink it anyways.
Oh, don't. It'll lower your core temperature. Give me some of that.
They get back to the base and it's being evacuated. Carrie has to go see the doctor about her fingers, and he's going to have to amputate them so she doesn't lose her hand. I'm not sure why she doesn't look away. I would have looked away. And Kate Beckinsale does some solid acting here because I felt really sad for her losing her two fingers too.
Doing great, kid. We're halfway there.
Carrie opens up to Pryce about Miami and why she took this job. Apparently a crime lord bought her partner out, and she nearly died trying to stop them both. It was a traumatic event for her and why she's not so trusting of Pryce. You know, to be honest though, if your own partner betrays you, it makes a lot of sense that you wouldn't, especially if there's diamonds and nuclear weapons involved. Carrie, now back on the case because Pryce has instilled some confidence in her, finds Rubin, one of the missing scientists, in her office. He's from the other base and he tells her the whole thing about the canisters and that they discovered them, and now that the bad guy has them. And not too long after, the bad guy Russell ends up stabbing Rubin and he wanders off into the snow, presumably to die. Delfy, the pilot who is helping Carrie, gets stabbed too by Russell, and they chase him out there into the snow, and again, her face exposed to those temperatures, and Pryce manages to cut the line free, and the fight scene on this line is just not really doing it for me, but, you know, he gets blown off by the snow and presumably, again, dies. So Carrie and Pryce, Delfy and the doc are all stuck at the base for the whole winter now because there's no planes that are going to be coming back in that temperature. But they got heating and liquor and all that food. They'll be fine. It also gives Carrie the chance to open up those canisters, which her and Pryce discover they're jelly beans, which leads her to believe that there's another person involved in this whole thing. And when she's looking around, she checks out the body that's there and notices that the stitching is the same one that was on her fingers. It seems like the diamonds were inside when she cut it open. Bet it didn't smell nice.
It's a fresh wound.
Somebody must have treated him in the field.
Yeah. And they were in a hurry.
Doc confesses and he's pretty casual about it. He pours himself a drink and he has a heart-to-heart with Carrie about his life and his granddaughter, how he never seen her, and how they're just not making any money out there. And he finally saw this opportunity and he didn't want anybody to die. So he's kind of like this villain, but not really. He's still kind of a nice guy. He's not going to attack Carrie. We know that. He talks about how beautiful it is out there at this time of the year and he wants to see the sky one more time, so he goes out and he walks out there without a jacket and presumably freezes to death, and we get another fade. And this isn't made for TV. Stop with all the fades.
You owe it to yourself to see it sometime. It's a hell of a show.
6 months later, and she withdraws her resignation and requests to transfer to somewhere warmer. Then she goes outside and looks at the pretty sky. The end. This movie is based on a graphic novel, and they do an okay job of establishing the characters, and the detective story isn't too bad at times, but it does give you that made-for-TV feel to it, even though it was in theaters, and actually I even saw it in theaters. I think it's the lack of intensity. There's definitely action scenes, and the suspense is pretty decent, but the movie's missing something to take it to another level. I think the problem is really the villain not being all that villainous. I mean, what was his motivation other than not being rich? I mean, he complains that he's stuck there and that he hasn't seen his grandchildren and that he doesn't have a lot of money. Well, I mean, he could have left at any time. He didn't have to stay there. And doctors do make pretty good coin, so... This movie had a $35 million budget, but it only brought back $17 million. And like I said, it has a made-for-TV feel to it. It's a completely watchable movie, but it ain't going to win any awards for you, and it's not going to keep you severely entertained at all. Kate Beckinsale is a decent lead for this, but I just think it needed more tightening to it. It needed to stop having so much mystery that you just didn't care about. Well, as always, thanks for watching.